Breaking news from the stadium tonight as an anonymous fan foot the bill for 55,000 hot dogs, bringing that sweet tubed meat to everyone in attendance.
Free dogs! Yeah!
55,000 hot dogs? What does that even cost?
While the identity of this Frankfurter philanthropist remains anonymous, their all-beefy generosity will go down in history.
The new Mega Millions. More to win means more to give. How you spend it is up to you.
Yeah!
For game odds and details, visit sceducationlottery.com.
Johnny Dollar.
Pat McCracken, Johnny, Universal Adjustment Bureau.
Pat, haven't had an assignment from you in, several days.
Yes, I know. Now, listen, this expense account of yours.
Huh?
On that case you just finished.
Oh, now listen, Pat, after all these years, and I not only gave you a full report, but an itemized statement.
I know.
That expense account was completely legitimate from start to finish. Every single item was money out of my own pocket that I spent to solve that case.
What case?
The one you're talking about, the one I handled for you last week, whatever it was.
You don't remember what it was.
Well, what difference does it make? All I'm saying is that whatever expenses I put down there were completely justified.
You remember what the total came to?
I haven't the least idea.
Then let me remind you.
Oh, now look, that's
Johnny,
beside the point.
To exactly $12.30.
Well, I tell you, every penny of it was $12.30.
That's right. Now, do you blame me for thinking maybe you were sick or something?
Oh, no. And I thought you were... Okay, Pat, argument's over.
Only it isn't, Johnny.
Huh?
Not by a long shot.
You mean you are going to question that expense account?
No, I mean we never discussed a fee on that case.
Oh, well...
In view of the fact that you had a pretty rough time of it and almost got yourself killed, well, I persuaded the company to slap on an extra fee of $500.